Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is the final episode of the PS4 variant of the Challenge series. 4 more races for Tier S in Year 3. And after that, it might be a while before we see an Assetto Corsa version of the Challenge series. As I was hearing noises upstairs. Oh, the mic's not picking that up. I'm sure it is. And we have Imola, the Highlands, Laguna Seca, and end off the series with Black Cat County. I'm not sure why I chose that track for the last course, I'll be honest with you. But let's get into Imola for race 9. The points are a bit more spread out. It's pretty close between 2nd and, 6th. There's, little mini categories. There's Ryan Wolf and Schwartz being the only 2 fighting for the championship. Thrasher, Wild, Gina, Gemini, and Eric. And then everyone else. Cam leads the GT, or the sort of not proverbial, the hypothetical GT racer championship. And Hikari has still scored 0 points after 8 completed races, so maybe he can turn that around here. He's got 4 more chances. Here are the starting grid for Imola, and the 2 main title rivals are 4th and 9th. As I'm highlighting 8th. Hikari looks like he's in an okay spot to finally score. He starts 3rd in the race. At least I expect him to finish 11th from there. If he can't score, he can at least beat the other GT cars since he's starting ahead of them all. I mean, what could you really expect him to do off the line, I guess? I know what I expected, that's for sure. And Eric has already stormed off ahead of me off the grid. Hikari and Cam, the 2 GTs, work to keep everyone else at bay behind him. Cam is going to go for a move into 4. This is always sketchy. For that reason, and that particular reason alone. Miss! Thrasher already up to 6th from 10th off the line. And we're only halfway through lap 1. That also cost Hikari a lot because he decided to try and fight that, and that also lost him 3 or 4 positions. One of the almost guaranteed overtakes will come from the 787B. Until he about runs both himself and Hikari off the track. Kaprisco will now attempt to pick up the pieces and make an overtake on the other GT car, and I'm thinking since he's on the inside, he will succeed. Yeah. So he's squandered that pretty effectively. Sadakawa drags the Corvette. Tyler has nowhere to go as he's stuck behind Hikari and Gemini. Now Ivan has nowhere to go, he's stuck behind Hikari and Tyler. And it's like that, he's already out of the points, just like everybody else in the GT group. Except for Kaprisco, who's running 8th. He gets 3 home races, he's got to make one of them count, you know? with somewhat of a train running in the top 6. Wolf is closing in on it. It's technically like 2nd, 3rd, 5th. What did I just see up here? Yeah, no, now it's 2nd through 7th. Eric is running away with it. I'm defending for my life for 2nd place. Ahead of, well, every other Group C car in the field, except for Ivan, who is now out of the race, along with Hikari. Why am I not surprised? So following this kerfuffle between Hikari and Tyler, Hikari's exit speed is minimal. Sotokov seizes this moment to take that position away, but he never moves back to the right to take the racing line. He misses the corner and rejoins and smacks into Hikari, taking both out of the race. So, as much as why am I not surprised, that's not Taniguchi's fault. That's Ivan. Because he went all the way off the track and still decided that he was going to re-enter it with no regard to who was behind him. And lap 3 of keeping the Porsche 962 Brigade behind me. Thrasher overtakes Gina down the main straightaway with no real issues. That's not... Oh yeah, it is Gina. There's too many white cars on the track. All these Group C's that are in this area, other than me, are white. Both the 962s and that 787B are. Ryan Wolf is sitting, waiting to pick up the pieces. He's like a wolf, I guess, in that way. He's just hunting. He's sniffing out the driving errors, and I mean, there haven't been many. Not up here, anyway. Something has to give here. That's all that I know. Either Ryan Wolf starts overtaking people, or Schwartz gets ahead of me and runs away with 2nd. Or neither of these things happen and Imola becomes a boring race. It's also very possible. Probably the more likely option, let's be real here. Following Sotokov's departure from the race, that means that a GT car will score, and it's looking like it will likely be DePrisco, but it could also be Barbara, considering she's not too far away. Lap 4 of keeping the Porsches behind me. Schwartz shows no immediate intention of trying to pass me, as Ryan Wolf has an immediate intention of passing Gina. I was gonna say, does he think he can just sit behind me and comfort and think that Ryan Wolf back there won't be trying to pass people? No, that's just wrong. Oh, I said something had to go, or had to give. Now it looks like that might be happening, as Schwartz has given me absolutely zero space on this godforsaken racetrack. He still gets the better exit on me despite that. But he kind of chickens out of the braking zone. Or maybe he just knew I'd screw it up, because I've been very good at that in this tier. He jukes me out of my ankles, and he will be on his way. Thrasher will follow suit, and Ryan Wolf attempts to pass Travis on the outside line. That's a unique idea. And the horsepower will allow it. Meanwhile, behind this, Gemini is there. He's at the back of this, actually. It's Tyler who's slowly closing in on the group. And he is there. Man, Cam is having a rough day at the office. Simply put. He's 5 seconds behind 12th place. He's running a second slower than the next slowest lap time on the track. Thrasher, who's now ahead of me, is actually kind of getting closer and closer, ever so slightly, to second place Schwartz. Meanwhile, Ryan Wolf is definitely getting closer to me. I'm honestly surprised he's not right behind me yet. Or rather, I guess I'm surprised he's not closer, anyway. He certainly won't be into the straightaway, I can promise you that much. Heck was behind me, he might have overtaken me if he had more nerve. But the Imola straightaway is really weird, and the fact that it's not all that straight, so it's finicky to attempt to pass on, especially when he has considerably more at stake than I do if he messes it up. He or I should say. That is a massive difference between Tyler and Dominic. Not that alright would be more competitive than that, being the newest GT car in the game, but here we are. As Eric embarks down the final straightaway one more time, he will be the very clear victor at Imola, making this his 19th win in the Challenge Series. Can he hit 20 before the end of the series? I would be kind of surprised, but I also kind of wouldn't be at the same time. Wolf got me at the last breath of the race to minimize damage against him from Schwartz and Eric, who will be, well, considerably closer to him now in points. And now we wait. Cam, who's just now in the final corner, so the race will be done when he gets to the finish line in about 10 seconds. Yeah. I thought Eric had more points than that. No. However, Schwartz and Thrasher are within 15. So Ryan Wolf is under a little bit more pressure, ever so slightly, to not make many mistakes in the next 3 rounds. Well, he could get second in points just based off of making no mistakes. But he's going to have to actually perform well because Schwartz is also going to be performing well. Eric and Travis, I would say, are definitely not out of this yet. A win from Travis and a poor result from Ryan could put him in the hunt. Same thing goes for Eric, especially since he has the momentum coming out of just winning Imola. And Hikari's still with 0 points to show, and considering how the Highlands usually goes, I don't think that'll be changing right now. I think he'll be waiting for Laguna Seca for that, but we have to do the Highlands circuit first. We're on the starting grid for the Highland circuit. We just couldn't leave without Highlands giving us one more foggy as all get out race. And Schwartz and Wolf were on opposite ends of the starting grid once... No, actually, no, they weren't really before. Now they definitely are. And Eric and Thrasher kind of in between the two as well. Under most circumstances, I would say Schwartz would definitely be the points leader coming out of this race. But this is Tier S. It's also the Highland circuit. It's kind of unpredictable. I've seen dumber things happen than Ryan outscoring somebody. Or at least being, like, top 5 at the end of this race. Tyler's on pole, so he's really on the opposite end of the spectrum from his team, or I say teammate. It's kind of like an assumed, or not assumed, like unspoken thing. The association between the two drivers that are in the same car in this tier. Like Ryan and Tyler, or me and Ivan, or Thrasher and Eric. There is no association other than that they drive in the same car, but that's beside the point. This track tests two things. It tests your vehicle's top speed and how well it takes high-speed turns. There are very little other skills required outside of knowing how to do those two things. I can't talk. Let's ignore the bull crap that's coming out of my face hole right now because I don't know what I'm talking about apparently. Eric up to P7 there. Jump! God. Oh. Gemini and Cam getting together through a high-speed turn. I'm sure my mic just clipped out there. Just ignore it. Gemini ahead of Cam for 8th. Wolf startled by the appearance of one Sebastian Sham despite him being in a GTE car, and he just passed the man like he was standing still. You don't see that every day. Those top 3 are quite close as we end the first of 4 laps here. I guess it also requires you to be able to stop the car in time for this little tight corner. But it's not the most intensive track on the schedule, by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's intense, it's not easy. It's probably one of the more difficult ones besides Black Cat County and would-be Northside if we actually used that. But those races are just so long. It's just not viable for an hour-long episode to run a race at the Nürburgring where each lap is like 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Depending on the layout you run on and the cars you're using. Schwartz thinks he has something here, but I can assure you, you do not. The P1 just does not have the, or just has the top speed for that. Just make that irrelevant real quick. Obviously, being the Group C, being the race car in the equation, Schwartz has got the advantage when he hits the corner, but as soon as we're not in that corner anymore, it's definitely advantage Tyler. Thrasher's hit something. I mean, a wall, obviously. He's not close enough to me to hit me, and Travis never went to go for a move on him. Ryan running only in 9th. His yield from this race not looking to be too high as things stand now. Especially seeing as he's obviously out of GT cars to pass. Man, Schwartz is just putting Tyler under all kinds of pressure, but it's not doing much. The P1 driver is unfazed by the Group C that's swapping wing mirrors on him every single corner. And just like that, I've rejoined the equation, but not by much. Eric has entered this sort of top 8 frame, more or less. I say more or less, like that's basically what it is, like a framing. You're only really looking at the top 8 right now. Top 9, I suppose, maybe, since Ryan Wolf is 9th, and he's sort of the points leader going into the event. He won't be the points leader coming out of it, I'm pretty sure, though. That'll definitely be Dedrick. Unless he literally wrecks his car trying to find a way around Tyler here. And I don't really find that to be super likely. If he was gonna wreck the thing, he'd have done it by now. He'd have done it by now. Schwartz is drawn alongside for the briefest moment, but the power on the McLaren P1, it's a saving grace for those who have it at their disposal. It's like a get out of jail free card. They just escape Group C's with like no risk, no chance of being passed as long as there is a straightaway ahead, and you're not an idiot. Schwartz is trying to sneak his way in. The doors are being repeatedly slammed upon his face. And he might be slamming himself in a minute if he's not careful. I mean, you can go for the lead, Dedrick, but just don't junk the car. I mean, or do, I guess it's your prerogative, you know, but I'd highly recommend not doing that. Top 7 all within a second of each other. Eric only 1.1 off. Ryan Wolf is not really gaining all that much. I think Schwartz's only option is to pull a fast one on Ty in this second half of the lap. He's gonna have to just kind of suddenly appear on his inside and just brute force his way ahead. You know, you have the handling advantage, so you just have to use it. But that's easier said than done at this track, and also easier said than done because you are an AI. We're getting a bit of deja vu. That's going to result in nothing. Jump! Tyler once again slams the door, but he's gotten to the inside anyway. He's just gonna send it there. Tyler has to back out or risk totaling himself. Because those guardrails don't care what car you're in, it'll wreck you anyway. And in a shock last second maneuver, Dedrick Schwartz takes a really important victory at the Highland Circuit. This will put him by far in the points lead. Ryan cannot even muster 9th. He lost it to Gina probably in the same place that Tyler lost the lead to Dedrick. So he brings only 1 point away from this event. And now we wait for the GTs to finish, who were all also very spread out in their own regard. There's Seb and Barbara, Cam and Dom, and now finally here comes the Nissan of no hour. It's a 10-point advantage for Schwartz over Ryan Wolf. It's looking pretty distant for everybody else now. Thrasher could sneak it in maybe, but that would require Schwartz to have an off race like Wolf just had. You would have home turf advantage. Thrasher would go into the league in a second. It is his home track. So if there's anywhere he could suddenly find himself in the points battle in the last round, it would be after a race here. But that all depends on the starting grid. Both for, for Thrasher, for Ryan, and for Dedrick. Anyone below Travis on the leaderboard can no longer win the championship. And admittedly, I don't think Eric and Travis have that much of a chance either. That would require them to probably win both the next two races, and Schwartz cannot get 6th place. Ever. Or any combination of which. So yeah. Into Laguna Seca. What? On the starting grid for Laguna Seca, and, well, I mean, Thrasher can take that title challenge and throw it out the window now, because, I mean, he has to keep Dedrick behind him, let alone pass 6 other cars or so. This would be Ryan Wolf's chance to regain some of those lost points, compensate for the fact that he just finished 10th in the last race to Dedrick's victory. And we might just have a title battle on our hands when we hit the last race of the championship. Who knows? Well, it's certainly an ideal start for the McLaren driver. Until we remember that he's starting behind the Lamborghini Huracan and went nowhere. He snuck into Ivan's inside line, but could not produce much with that. Jumping the gun there, I would say. A mess back here between the 962s. Thrasher attempting to overtake me for P8. He will be able to. He's also going to get ahead of Cam at the braking zone. We have Dominic around. So here's DePrisca climbing up the hill, and suddenly here's a Mercedes. And I don't even know what to say on that one. Was there a car's width there? I don't know. This is sort of like a Verstappen-Hamilton Silverstone thing. It's like Sodakov is on that curb, and he's kind of being left there by Dominic. So at the same time, though, he kind of took a bit of a linear line as if Dominic's not there, and spins Dominic off the track. Sodakov saves it, but that's way too much sand for one Lamborghini to handle. Also, at the same time, I wasn't even aware of that one. Schwartz gets thrown off the track. That's the wrong SCH, hang on. Into the same turn up ahead here. Schwartz, battling with Travis Wild, does the same thing, and he gets sent off into the sand. And I'm sure that's exactly what Ryan Wolf wants to see right about now. His title rival being put into the sand by somebody driving the same car as him. Yeah, they're both out. I already confirmed this. It's not a usual DNF spot for the AI either. They usually don't do that kind of thing into that turn at all. They usually save it for turn 1, let's be real here. And Gemini, who's also arguably had just as much of his childhood spent on virtual versions of this track, is having a field day here at Laguna Seca. A 6-second lead to Ryan Wolf in just one lap. Thrasher also working his way up the ranks. He's up to P5. If he can get to 3rd at the very least, he might be a dark horse if things went horrifically wrong between Ryan Wolf and Schwartz in the finale. But that would require everything going right for Thrasher in the last 2 races here. He has to navigate 2 Group C cars, but I think, well, no, he's passed plenty of GT cars is the thing. He's passed me, yes, but he's also only, other than that, he's only passed Cam and Barbara. As if Gina runs into Ivan and runs him off the road, that would certainly help Thrasher's cause. Although Thrasher seems as though he's catching them on his own with not many issues. Now what? Clearly this is a case of monkey see, monkey do, as I end up doing the exact same thing that Ivan did, except I pay more dearly for it. Because I just decided I don't want to point myself back towards the racetrack after screwing myself and Cam over. Cam finds an Eric on his way back around trying to keep the car under him, and that takes both of us out of the race. It's been a messy affair. We have 4 DNFs in 2 completed laps. Not a great ratio, I will be the first to admit. And this is my 3rd DNF in the championship. It's not a great look. I throw the language barrier out the window. I look like a fucking idiot right now. You know, turn your regularly scheduled programming. So Thrasher is is very obviously on the back of Soda Cop here. He just has to look for the right spot to produce the overtake, and this is not it, I guess. It seems suitable to me. Eric has hit something along the way. Oh, never mind, he hit Cam, right. When I dumped him for some reason. Any more casualties? Doesn't appear so. Then again, we haven't gotten back there yet. And I don't think we will have any more because the field is so spread out now. What am I doing? That's not how that works. Yeah, Thrasher's definitely caught Ivan. He seems to be unable to find a way by him, though. Obviously, Ivan still has that advantage when it comes to a corner. Thrasher is just unable to compete with it in this hypercar. Aerodynamics versus raw horsepower, and I guess aerodynamics are winning. At a track like Laguna Seca with a lot of low to medium speed corners, I didn't think aerodynamics would be that efficient, but here we are. As much as Thrasher could also definitely be braking a tiny bit later than that, but that's in my business. Barbara's still running 6th. And she's got breathing room too, because Travis is stuck behind Eric, who's got damage he's working with here. Sebastian Sham occupying the last position for points in his Porsche GT. So, looks like Thrasher will be unable to find any way ahead of that Sauber. Turn 1's obviously normally your best shot here, so if he's not even nearby here, there's not much hope for it. Eric, even with the damage, has caught Barbara, but he's already through turn 1. I don't really know where else he can make this pass at, because Barbara is probably going to be better than him through this third corner. Marginally, yes. Eric's going to screech right up to her, but will have no chance at passing by any means. I guess he can try here, but that's always scary. And he just kind of breaks conservatively. He just kind of lets that happen. I think he's monkey seen, but he's not gonna monkey do that. Just like me and Ivan have. He's instead gonna almost run Barbara over into the last turn. Speaking of running over, Gemini will win at Laguna Seca, and celebratory lock down the brakes. I mean, I guess you don't need them anymore. You've just won the race by like 17 seconds. 16. Excuse me. Thrasher only managing P5. I don't really know if he'll be in the title battle with that result. I don't think so. Or if he is, it's not. It's going to be a very distant shot. And despite 4 DNFs, Hikaru Taniguchi manages to be the one finishing driver who will score no points in this event. His last shot at it, and he cannot do anything to score. Makes you wonder how I won a GT championship. Alright, so the sitrep is, the points battle is 2 between Wolf and Schwartz, so it's pretty much down to whoever finishes ahead of who between those two drivers will be the champion. Unless both of them finish poorly, and if Thrasher can produce a victory in the final round, he might... Oops, I just smacked the mic by accident. If he can produce a victory in the final round, and Ryan Wolf and Schwartz are both caught sleeping, he could be the surprise champion to cap off the Challenge Series on the PS4. It's the final countdown for our final race in the Challenge Series. At the starting grid for the long circuit of Black Cat County, our two title contenders start at the very back of the grid. Schwartz in last, Ryan Wolf in 14th. Thrasher starts 5th. If somehow those two can't manage to gain a handful of positions and score 3 or like 1 or 3 points respectively, Thrasher can be the champion. I find that unlikely, but it can happen. Ultimately, it's just down to between those two drivers which one can pick their way through the field better. Oh, I've seen better starts from Gina. Thrasher will already find himself in P3 before we even get anywhere near the first corner. Eric would lead us into it. Tyler finds himself in a Ferrari sandwich. Ferrari versus McLaren. It feels like I'm watching an F1 race right now. I'll let you figure out what year, whether it's the year 2000 or 2021. To be honest, most years would work. Most. I don't really know if like 2011 would work. I don't really know if like 2015 would work, but you know. Here we are. Thrasher wants a move on Tyler. Tyler wants to run into the wall and give himself a bit of damage, but ultimately if you're not in an F1 car, that doesn't matter too much. Jump! Oh my god, Rally. Duke Boys would have been proud of that one. Thrasher will now chase down the other Ferrari that's currently leading the race. That will make things quite difficult for Thrasher because he has to pass somebody driving the exact same car as him. If you can't do that, then he will get no championship. And that's under the hypothetical scenario that Ryan Wolf doesn't make 9th place. He's already in 11th, and he's still got Sebastian and Cam on his roadmap of overtakes to make. So I'd be quite surprised. Admittedly, I think we can probably toss that storyline out the window now, because I don't think that's going to happen. Unless Ryan Wolf literally crashes trying to make a pass. And Schwartz somehow can't seal the deal and get ahead of both those GT cars. That said, they are some distance away. Sham and Cam are. They're like 3 seconds ahead of me. They'll be passing me before they even think about passing the GT cars. Well, unless they do that. A lot of front-end damage, but again, for whatever reason, this game doesn't really do mechanical damage unless it's suspension or engine. So that broken front fender or front bumper really isn't going to hurt Sebastian. It's not going to hurt Sebastian all that much. Thrasher can still just about see Eric in the distance. Must remain mindful that, I mean, just because he's past Tyler doesn't mean he's gonna be ahead of him forever. That and Gina is also in the nearby area. Battle for 6th between Gemini and Ivan. Ivan's on the left side. He might just throw it in. He decides to not do that though, surprisingly. It's an absolute kerfuffle between me, Cam, Sham, Ryan, and Dedrick for 8th position, basically. I believe we might be we were 3 wide for a brief moment there. Me and the GT cars were. Sham and Cam are fighting amongst themselves. Meanwhile, Wolf is passing me in the last turn, and there's not much I can do about it because I'm on the outside. He will also pass the GT cars, and now all Ryan has to do is survive, and the championship is effectively his. Unless Schwartz somehow gets ahead of him, which even if he did, at this point it wouldn't matter too much. Somebody is... Well, I mean... we didn't see the start of it, but he definitely did hit that wall, and his engine blew up on him. And in his attempt to pull off the side of the road, he pit maneuvers himself on the front of Ryan Wolf's car. Well, leaderboards are hard. Yeah, basically all Ryan has to do now is just finish the race from here, and he'll be ahead of Schwartz. Schwartz has to be ahead of him at the end of this race to win the championship, not the other way around. And Thrasher isn't even the leader. And he would need to win the race just to even have a mathematical chance of winning the championship, but he's not really getting any closer to Eric, probably because they're in the same car. So here's Tyler trying to put the moves on Gina. Squeezes her to the right a little bit. and brakes too late, gets into the back of Gina, and spin cycle. Once he remembers how transmissions work, he will be able to continue. He just got a bit dizzy. I like my McLaren shaken, not stirred. Man, who? It's me and Dedrick. I think we're back in Imola. And Dedrick will get ahead of me with much less effort than he had to exert at Imola. He's at least gonna keep Ryan Wolf in his iron sights here. I don't know if he's gonna be able to do anything about him. Horsepower be important. And the Porsche not be having much of it. Not compared to the 1,000-some horsepower the P1 has. We do have corners. Corners are something the Porsche does have. Because aerodynamics. Which is weird because the McLaren P1 definitely has a wing and it has a front splitter, yet somehow, I guess by body shape, the 962C's got better cornering. Only way I can surmise. If Dedrick is brave, he can maybe try and throw a surprise move on Wolf here. I don't know how far it'll get him, because then we have the main straightaway where Ryan can just try and take it back. Dedrick will definitely be close enough. If he goes for it, he might get it. He does not go for it. He does the opposite to go for it and locks his brakes, as a matter of fact. It's the final lap. Ryan's just a distant view for Schwartz at this point as we head towards the first corner. One last time. You know, it only seems fitting too. Hang on, we might have something brewing here between Thrasher and Gino for second position. I'm doubtful because we're on a straightaway now, but it's possible. Oh, we definitely got something brewing for fourth though. Darius versus Travis, and oh my lord, not even beginning to let off there. That was brazen. 2x2 for both positions. Gemini startles himself and finds the outside guardrail. But yeah, it seems fitting. The winningest driver in the Challenge Series is looking more than set to win the final race of the series. For now. And Gemini finds another guardrail in his quest to overtake the 962. And his quest will be achieved. I think, yes. As we get the last minute and a half of racing in, let us drive on board with Eric. No HUD, no nothing, just look at the fact that this man has won 20 races if he can bring this car home and not find a guardrail on the way home. Just trust me, Eric. Your dad would definitely be proud now. Of course, the spotlight's not just on him, as Brian Wolf also exits the last turn, and he will be your Year 3 Tier S champion. Schwartz runs the fastest lap. Wait a minute, what? I think Ryan Wolf is still the champion, however. I believe he needed 2 more points. That's only 1 more. And once again, Hikari manages to find a way to finish last. This has been not his best performance. By 1 point, Ryan Wolf is the champion of the final championship. 1 point over Schwartz, 5 over Thrasher, and 10 over Eric. 15 over Gemini. That'd have gotten really interesting if there was a round 13, let me tell you. But disregard the what ifs. Ryan Wolf will be the final champion of the PS4 variant of the Challenge Series. Eric Wojciechowski, the final winner of the Challenge Series. And Hikari still scored 0 points in this championship.